Hi, I'm Mal from the Money Study, bringing you another episode of our Take 10 Challenge. And here we are at number 67, all about deeming rates. How does Centrelink look at your investments when they're calculating your age pension? Before we kick it off, there's my disclaimer: facts and figures, information only, it's not advice. Deeming. You can imagine that if Centrelink are trying to calculate your pension, and you've got some shares and you've got some money in the bank account, you've got some money in your super, money in your partner's super, there's all sorts of odd investments all over the place. And they're trying to work out what this money is actually generating as income towards your age pension assessment. The effort to do that, now they could put the onus on you to say, you tell us what it earns, because even that becomes difficult depending on when they need the information, whether you've even got the information as to what it actually earns. And of course, things can vary on a day to day or month to month or whatever the case may be. Centrelink simplify the whole situation, and they assume that all of your investments and everybody else's investments earn exactly the same amount of money. So it doesn't matter whether the money's in a bank account or in a super fund, doesn't matter whether you've got managed funds or what it is, they deem it to say, look, okay, we don't care what it actually earned, we are going to tell you what it earns. Now, purely for the assessment, obviously it's not meaning what you're going to get from the investment, you still get your 6, 7, 8, 9, 10% or whatever your perhaps your super's earning you. But when it comes to assessing the income, for Centrelink purposes, they don't care that you made 6%. They basically use the deeming rate. Now, if you're single, the first 60,400 of all of your financial assets, so this is, let's say, super and money in the bank and whatever, has a deemed rate of only 0.25 of 1%. So obviously very low. So they're really assuming that your first 60,000 are not making you much money at all. Probably because most people, they've only got a small amount of money, would be probably sitting in bank accounts. And of course, Centrelink have been a bit slow to move on this, and hence they're looking at what you would have got sitting in a bank account, which wasn't much. Anything over that was basically deemed to earn 2.25%. But even so, 2.25% is probably now under what you're getting from bank accounts, and would certainly be under what most people are getting from their super funds. Now, of course, if your super fund did lose money because you had a quite aggressive account, doesn't matter that you lost money in your super fund, it would still be deemed to have earned 2.25%. So there's the upside and the downside. If you're a couple, then the first 100,200 of your combined financial assets has that rate of 0.25. And anything over the 100,200, then it's deemed at that 2.25%. And if you're a member of a couple need to be getting your pension, well, it just literally means that the first 50,100 of yours is done at that, is not deemed, then over. That is then deemed at those rates. But you can have a look at that couple there. $100,000 is, and basically saying that at 1/4%. 1/4%. I mean, even 1% is $1,000, so 1/4%, we're talking only $250 is what your $100,000 is deemed to have earned. So the deeming rates on your investments, dare I say, are quite generous at the moment. Now they will change, of course, and this is helping when you were coming to look at our incomes test for our Centrelink purposes. What I've done here is a comparison between a couple of different situations, and I'm just using an age pension calculator that I found online, and I just Googled age pension calculator, come up with this one, and I've got two scenarios side by side. Now it's for a couple, and the couple own their own home, and I've assumed non-financial assets of only 40,000. That may sound low, but this is a couple that have just got one car. It's it's worth, it might be worth $20,000 or so. Fire sale value. They might have two cars, but literally a couple of cars. They don't have any boats or caravans, but they've got some contents of their house. And certainly, quite frankly, are not going to get too upset, even if you were to put down $15,000 on all of your contents of your house, even if they were insured for well over 100 or so. Literally because it's fire sale. You've got to put them out on the street. So this person's got $40,000 worth of non-financial assets. They've got $800,000. Now that, say, it could be spread across super funds, it could be spread in bank accounts and everything else. And both of these couples, both members of the couple, are of age pension age. Now, they will take the $840,000 and deem it at those rates. And you can see the deeming on $840,000 is only $15,980. So in both examples here, getting down to that deeming, $15,980 is classified as income because it's what those assets are deemed to make, irrespective of whether they made, if you made 10% on your 800,000, you made 80,000 just on that, on those financial assets. Now in example one on the left-hand side there, this person is still doing some casual work, or they might have a sideline, they might have, some other form of income from somewhere. We've called it an employment income, but it doesn't really matter. We could have put it under other income, but it's just income. And we're getting $66,000 on the left-hand side, no other income on the right-hand side. So you can see there at the bottom, the total assessable income is $70,000 in one scenario and only $15,900 on the other example. Our assets are exactly the same, but our income is quite vastly different there. So what's the scenario? By clicking on this, putting these details into this calculator, then what I got was the following results, where if the person had this other income, $66,000 of income, their pension from Centrelink combined was $13,343. If they don't have that $66,000, because it's the assets test that is reducing, effectively, pretty much reducing their age pension, they're still getting, or only getting, I say $13,450. The assets test is pushing down what they are entitled to. And so we can earn all this other income so long as it keeps us under that incomes test eating into our pension. So quite a significant difference here in total income, because these people here, obviously, on the right-hand side, are going to get their superannuation or their $800,000 invested. And let's say that $800,000 is basically earning, say, 6%. So that's generating about $48,000 for us. But the $48,000 plus their age pension, it's pushing them up towards $60,000, or a bit over $60,000. Whereas with the person who's still earning $66,000 has now got a total combined income of $127,000, still getting the same age pension. So, you certainly can go off and earn a bit of extra money here, so long as it's not the incomes test that's holding you under the age pension arrangement in the first place. So it's always this comparison. So using one of these calculators can be a really good way to assess your situation, to say, okay, what's the impact if I inherited $200,000 extra? And you can add that into the calculator, push up your assets from 800 to $1 million. Now, of course, that would have a huge impact because all of a sudden you've only just under the assets test and you probably wouldn't get any Centrelink, But if you're extra 200,000, what is if you've got $200,000 and it's making you say 6%, then of course it's generating about $12,000 a year for you from the investment. So it comes down to you lose 13 from pension, but you're making, say, 12 from the investment. So it's a case of fiddling around with your assets to see what would happen. And then, of course, what is the impact on our income? But you can see this, getting an extra 60, this person's able effectively to earn an extra $66,000 with absolutely minimal impact on their pension. Of course, as soon as that income heads above the 66,000 or so, it becomes the thing that reduces the pension. And all of a sudden you'll see the pension coming down quite dramatically there. So it's a balancing act between which one of these tests is causing us the most grief. Now, of course, that's gross income. Yep, we've got to pay tax on the $66,000 worth of income, so that's going to bring our net income down. As is now if our earnings, if we've got $800,000 making us 6%, generating 48, is that money sitting in super getting taxed at 15%? Is it in the real world getting added on top of the $66,000 wages, getting taxed at currently 32.5 in cents in the dollar? Or is it in a income stream, which we'll talk about, paying absolutely no tax? So you can see even here where the money is going to have quite a significant difference on what our end result is going to be for our net retirement income. And of course, this is assuming that both partners are at age pension age. If one of the partners is not, so they're only 63, and let's say $200,000 or $300,000 was still in their super, and they haven't reached age pension, the money in their super account does not count for the assets test until they get to 67. So while it's in super accumulation phase, it doesn't count as an asset. So if you've got a younger partner, you can do your numbers by moving money, cashing out your money tax-free and perhaps contributing it to your partner to reduce what's accessible and what's not accessible from Centrelink's situation. We'll talk about all these sort of things further as time goes on, but get going on a calculator, have a fiddle, and punch in some numbers and just get a rough idea of what you'll be able to achieve. And if you're not very good on calculators, you want someone to do the numbers for you and assist you to understand it all, work on your scenario, we're happy to help. Talk to you on another session.